Welcome to an special NFL edition Red Alert, everyone. I'm your host, Ryan Panny, and here to talk all things football is newcomer Daniel Dashefsky and returning analyst Ashwin Ambatti. Through 10 weeks in the season, only 3 teams remain with just one loss. The New Orleans Saints, Los Angeles Rams, and Kansas City Chiefs are in prime positions to not only make the playoffs, but claim home field advantage in their respective conferences. With that being said, Daniel, who's the best team in football?
You know, Ryan, a week ago, I said the Rams were the best, but I had to change my opinion. I think right now the Saints are the best team in the NFL. They're 8-1. They've won 8 straight. One of those wins came against the Rams about 2 weeks ago. They're red hot. Drew Brees is playing at an MVP caliber level. They got 2 backs in Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. I think those are the 2 best running back tandems in the league. Alvin Kamara could be a top 10 wide receiver when he's catching balls. And Michael Thomas has become a superstar this season. He's a top 5 receiver without a doubt, borderline top 3. And Sean Payton has been consistently a great coach throughout his career, and it's just showing again this year. He's been excellent, and the Saints are poised to make a great run to the playoffs.
Ashwin?
Yeah, I gotta agree with him. I mean, honestly, they look fantastic right now. Last week against the Bengals, dropped 51. They dropped 28 unanswered in the second quarter. Unanswered. And there's no slowing them down. But the thing that impressed me was their defense looked great too. They held the Bengals to only 14 points. They just look great on all levels right now. Even their kicker, Will Lutz, he's playing great. So, gotta go with the Saints.
Yeah, you can't bet against that team.
Yeah.
From talking about the best teams in football, let's move to players. Who do you guys think is the MVP right now?
I got to go with Drew Brees. I mean, I was just talking about how he was playing at an MVP caliber level, and he really is the MVP. I mean, he's blowing away the competition in stats. I mean, he's got a 77.3% completion, highest in the NFL. He's got 21-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, the best in the league. Only one interception that's tied with Aaron Rodgers for the least in the league, highest plus or minus at 8.9. That's the best in the league. That really shows that he means a lot to the Saints and their success. And again, as I said in the last segment, they're 8-1. They've won 8 straight. There's no telling how far they could go in the regular season, and I think that Drew Brees in the playoffs will prove that he is the MVP.
Again, I gotta agree with him. Drew Brees just looks fantastic. I know people will make an argument for Gurley and Mahomes. Unfortunately for Gurley, it's a quarterback's league. Everybody knows that. So it'll be tough for him to win, even though he's been fantastic. And Mahomes has 10 more touchdowns, 31 touchdowns, but he also has 6 or 7 more interceptions. And I go with Brees on this one because back in 2011, Brees was in Mahomes' position and Aaron Rodgers was in Brees' position, where Aaron Rodgers was much more efficient and he ended up winning the MVP. So because of that efficiency and how good the Saints are playing right now, you have to give it to Drew Brees.
We're going to break down the NFL in a segment we like to call Overrated or Underrated. It's as simple as it sounds, guys. I'm going to give you a team name, a player, a division, or a conference, and you're going to tell me if they're overrated, underrated, and why. All right. First up, let's talk about the Packers. They're usually relevant because of Aaron Rodgers. Do you guys think they're overrated or underrated at this point?
I'm going to have to go underrated. The record is 4-4-1, but a lot of those losses have come to either bad luck or just uncapitalized opportunities. There's a number of examples that I could talk about. Just going back to the Vikings game, they're up by a touchdown. Clay Matthews gets called for roughing the passer. Kirk Cousins goes down, scores a touchdown. If he doesn't get called for that questionable call, they wouldn't have that tie in the record. They'd be 5-4. Then going down, they played the Patriots about a week ago, tied 17-17, fourth quarter. They're driving, they fumble the ball. That was a winnable game. Another one against the Rams, second best team in the NFC. They're driving, they've got 2 minutes left, they're down by 2. Ty Montgomery fumbles the ball on the return. I mean, Mason Crosby against the Lions, 5 missed field goals. These are opportunities that they're blowing by a little bit. I just think if they stop with the minor mental mistakes, they can win these games. They're just hurting themselves. Some of the play calling could be better. Mike McCarthy needs to improve that. But if they just get that well-oiled machine like the Patriots do every single Sunday, they could be a formidable force in the NFC.
I'm going to have to disagree with you here. I think they're actually overrated because when you talk about those games, the Viking game, yeah, that call, you can talk about it. But the Vikings kicker, Daniel Carlson, he also missed like 3 or 4 field goals in that game. And then you talk about the Patriots game. Yeah, they fumbled the ball, and the Patriots went down and scored, but they had another chance to tie it up. Aaron Rodgers was, I think, 2 for 7 for 15 yards in the fourth quarter, which Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, obviously, but you can't have that when you're trying to win. And their defense, obviously, everybody talks about their defense, just not playing well right now, not playing well at all. And even their offense, like you can't expect to put up 17 points and win against the Patriots, especially against that Patriots defense. It just gave up 34 points to the Titans. So while I do think that obviously Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in football, I think they are an overrated team. And even if they do manage to make the playoffs, I don't feel like they'll do anything at all.
Well, I do think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL, and their defense is lacking. I'll give you that. But I think their offense is really underrated. They're finally starting to utilize Aaron Jones, who's becoming a really good running back. I'd like to see Jimmy Graham get involved some more. Devontae Adams has been spectacular this season, and Randall Cobb has also been injured for, I say, 2-3 weeks. I think I see your points being overrated, but I just think there's a lot of untapped potential in this team. I mean, I before the season, I really thought they could go to the Super Bowl, and I think with a late run, Aaron Rodgers has been known to put on these late season runs. I think the Packers come season end could be hunting for that playoff spot.
The thing is, they did play well this past weekend, but they beat down on the Dolphins. So until they beat a great team and they play like that against a great team, I can't say that they're a contender.
Don't forget what Rodgers said a couple years ago. He said, "Relax." I feel like this guy is confident. He's also injured, so I think they're in a good spot right now. They're not really overrated, not really underrated. They're kind of like in the middle. Next up, the Houston Texans. They've won 6 straight games en route to take the lead in the AFC South. Led by stars J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson, and DeAndre Hopkins, they hope to remain hot and make it back to the playoffs after missing last year. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go with underrated on the Texans just because they're a team that I feel like not a lot of people talk about. I mean, Deshaun Watson's playing great. DeAndre Hopkins, brilliant. On that defense, their defense has been playing really well for the past few weeks. What were they, 0-3 to start out? Now 6-3? And like they've gone all the way from 0 to the top of their division, and they just don't get talked about. Now, once they get to the playoffs, I don't know how well they'll do, but in terms of how people think of them as a threat, I think they are underrated because they are playing really well right now.
I'll have to disagree with you. Not completely. I do think they're a playoff team, but I think they're a bit overrated. I say a first-round loss max is their potential this season, but their potential for the future is huge. Deshaun Watson is a star, but I just don't think the team is ready right now. So their record, although being really good right now, is a little misleading. I think they're going to have a lot of regular season success, but come playoffs, I don't see them getting too deep. Watch out for them in 2 to 3 years, though. They'll be a real big threat with DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt still there. So I say just give them time. They're a little bit overrated now, but come time, they'll be ready to compete for the Super Bowl.
I feel like they're overshadowed with the Chiefs, the Steelers, and Pats in their own conference.
Yeah, just no one talks about
Exactly.
them. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of conferences, the NFC conference at the beginning of the year was believed to be the tougher conference and more superior to that of the AFC. With 10 weeks in the books, is it safe to say that people overestimated the strength of the NFC?
I would say it is peculiar. I think that it's a lot of pretty good to good NFC teams playing each other, losing. I think you take a look at the NFC Central. They've got a lot of really good teams there. Vikings, Bears, Packers, but their records are borderline 500. I think that since they play each other so much and they've got a really tough schedule, some of those records would be much better in the AFC, but they're playing against each other over and over, so their records aren't as good. They still have the Rams and the Saints, 8-1, 9-1, top 3 best teams in the league. That's up for debate. But there's also the NFC East has been a really big underwhelming factor. Everyone thought the NFC East would be a strength in the NFC for years to come. A little bit underwhelming, but there's always room for that late season push. The Eagles, I think they're gonna. I mean, they are the reigning Super Bowl champs. They can come back with a strong finish to the season. The Cowboys, I'm not too hot on them, but the Redskins are playing really well. So I think the NFC is underrated. I think they will. I still think they have the best teams and I think that the NFC is still the best conference.
I don't think they're necessarily over or underrated. I think they are what we thought they would be. It's just that different teams are stepping up than people thought.
Yeah.
Obviously, people knew Rams would be good after all the players they picked up. Saints are great again. But Vikings were a team that people expected to be like the number 1 or 2 seed. It's a little lower right now, but I think that come playoff time, they're definitely a contender for the Super Bowl. The North Division, though, that's what people are surprised about, because the Bears are leading the division, which I don't think many people expected.
People expected the East to be like the North is
Yep,
right now.
the people expected the East to be much better, but people thought the Giants would do well this year.
flopped.
They won last night, but they're 2-7. The Eagles, defending champions, don't look great at all right now. That division is not good, but overall, the amount of good teams in the NFC, I think there's still a good amount of good teams in the NFC. So,
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I do believe the NFC is a lot tougher than the AFC, even though our teams are still in the AFC.
Yeah.
I feel like the AFC does have 4 contenders though that could win the Super Bowl.
They've definitely
definitely.
improved this year.
Yeah.
Their AFC is making a really strong case with their back. Usually it's just been a Pats and a Steelers kind of dogfight.
Exactly.
There's a lot of young talent in the AFC now. So AFC and NFC are getting way more balanced, and that's really great for the NFL.
Yeah, they have those 4 teams, and then the NFC is kind of just like a potluck at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that's all from us here on Red Alert. If you enjoyed our show, subscribe to our YouTube channel at UCTV Channel 14. Check out other cool videos. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at UCTV Channel 14 and at Twitter at UCTV Sports. For Ashwin, Ambatti, and Daniel Dashefsky and the entire crew, I'm Ryan Panny. We'll see you next time.